People were kind of off-put by him wearing a robe and being a Rinpoche and so forth, and so he took his robe off. He put a beautiful suit on, lit up a cigarette, and married a 16-year-old English aristocrat. He was 28 or so, and came to America and taught and laid the groundwork for Buddhism in the West. He really was controversial and brilliant. So I happened to study with him, and I ended up making a film about his life. Anything that has to do with projecting Buddhist teachings, you know, for me is a kind of sacred thing, the teachings themselves, you know. And so I had to somehow put together this beguiling person, you know, that kind of tests people, but who was himself a profound teacher, and somehow make it so people will experience something fresh, you know, something different. It took me almost 5 years to make the film because of its complexity, and in the end, when I was dealing with, you know, it's a documentary, so there's the reality aspect of it, and it has to be open-minded. It can't be, you know, just a love letter. It has to be honest. So there's a delicate way to make that happen, where you're as honest, you know, as you have to be, and at the same time not sort of sensationalize things, so that people are distracted by sensationalism and not really open to what's going on. So it's a tricky film to make. Let's see, I broke into film. I was a painter first. I went to RISD, went to live in Paris, lived in Paris, made, you know, paintings. And then I fell in love. It was the 60s when the Nouvelle Vague was happening in Paris. And it was just, I mean, not in Paris, in Europe, but mostly French and Italian and English. And I just fell in love with film. I didn't realize, I hadn't thought that film could be an art form. You know, it was entertainment, pure entertainment when I grew up. So it was quite shocking and wonderful, and I got completely attracted to film and found myself making movies by like 1970 or something. I did take a lot of action during especially in Los Angeles, during the sort of feminist revolution of the 70s, and I made a couple of important films. One of them is called Woman House, which is still in distribution after 30-something years. And so I was involved in the dialogue about, you know, what is a female sensibility, and is there such a thing? And I think there is. I think there is. Part of it is I think social. In other words, because we do what we do as women, because we've had this position of mother and lover more than any other position, like leader or protector or other positions, we come from a place that, you know, that has a certain kind of openness. And so I think women's films are generally more, they allow things to happen. That, for instance, What the Kids Are All Right is a good example. Of course it's scripted. Of course everybody is figuring out exactly what they're going to do at any moment in the film. But there's a quality of allowing that relationship to fall apart, or allowing it without having to paint like pictures of who's the bad guy, who's the good guy. And yet going deeper than that. I think that's kind of a feminine approach. Really, you have to have confidence in yourself. And the way you gain confidence is to go out and do it and fall on your face and do it and do it and do it. And not be afraid. But when you get into the industry, a wall goes up. And that's what, you know, that's what is daunting. And really, both the boys and the girls are up against it when that wall goes up, in terms of what kind of dance do you do to crack it, you know. But I think for the women, that really they just they should count on their talent. They should believe in their talent, and celebrate their talent, because the bigger they make their talent, allow it to show in a film, the more it's going to people are going to take notice of it. Another thing that I think that young women filmmakers do is tend to do like subtle work. And subtle work is great, you know. It's often more artistic or what have you, but it can also sort of slip by the commercial or the, you know, audience conscious producers and distributors. You know, you can make a wonderful film, and they know it's a wonderful film, but they're afraid their audience is not going to go for it. So you do have to start thinking about, and here's where it all comes around in a circle, because you have to start thinking about what the audience is when you do your work.